Advice describes a life. Understanding creates one. Hi, I'm Rob Mitchell. A number of years ago, I noticed something interesting. People would come to me for advice about their lives, career decisions, relationships, major life directions. I'd listen carefully and I'd realize something. If I told them what to do, it probably wouldn't work, not because the advice was bad, but because it wasn't theirs. Even if the advice was perfectly logical, if it didn't arise from within their own understanding, it would never fully take root. And that's when I began to realize something super important. The real problem most people face isn't a lack of advice, it's a lack of understanding how their own mind works. And that realization eventually led to a simple principle. No one can tell you how to live your life. If you understand your mind, you can discover that for yourself. In simple terms, advice describes a life, understanding creates one. And the purpose of understanding your mind is to become the author of your life. Now, here's the paradox. No one can tell you how to live your life. So let me start with a statement that might sound strange coming from someone talking to you right now. No one can tell you how to live your life. Not your parents, not society, not your friends, not your favorite author, and not me. And the reason is simple. Your life is not created by advice. Your life is created by the way your mind organizes reality. Until that process is understood, all the advice in the world will only produce one thing: more confusion. Here's the problem: advice versus understanding. We live in a time where advice is everywhere. You open your phone and within seconds, someone's telling you how to be successful, how to be happy, how to get rich, how to have the perfect relationship, how to find your purpose. But something interesting happens when people consume endless advice. Nothing actually changes, except the anxiety. Have you ever noticed that? You read something, you hear something, and suddenly you feel like you should be doing something differently. But by the next day, life looks exactly the same. Why? Because advice operates at the level of description and not understanding. And description alone does not transform a life. Now, let me give you an example. Someone tells you you should think positively. Sounds reasonable, but what does that actually mean? Does it mean suppress negative thoughts? Does it mean ignore reality? Does it mean pretend everything's fine when it isn't? Advice like that creates more questions than answers because it never explains the process of the mind. And this brings us to the central idea I want to share with you today. If you want to change your life, the most powerful place to begin is not with advice, it's with understanding how your mind works. Because the mind is not just where thoughts happen, it's the instrument through which you experience everything. Your relationships, your work, your health, your goals, your future, all of it is filtered through the structure of your mind. Advice describes a life, understanding creates one. Now, information can come from anywhere. Understanding must arise from within. Self-authorship begins when borrowed beliefs are examined. It can be helpful to think of the mind like a GPS system on your car. Imagine your mind as a navigation system in the car. If the navigation system is confused, the car could be perfect, the engine can be powerful, the fuel tank can be full, but it'll still drive in circles. Most people try to improve the car by working harder, by pushing more, trying more strategies. But the real issue is often the navigation system. Once the navigation becomes clear, the car can suddenly move in the right direction. Your life works in the same way. Your mind is the navigation system. Understand it, and the direction of your life changes. If your mind is confused, life feels confusing. If your mind is conflicted, life feels conflicted. But when the mind becomes clear and aligned, something remarkable happens. Life begins to move in a new direction naturally. Most people in development, personal development, will tell you what to do. But the deeper question is this: how does the mind actually create experience? Because when you understand that process, something shifts. Instead of chasing answers outside yourself, you begin to realize patterns within yourself. For example, think about goals. Many people struggle with goals. They read books about goals, they write goals down, they repeat affirmations, but very often those goals just quietly collapse. Why? Because goals only work when the mind behind them is aligned. If one part of your mind wants something and another part doubts it and another part fears it, then progress feels like pushing a car with the brakes on. But when alignment appears, the same goal suddenly feels possible, even natural. This is why the most important investment a person can ever make is not in a strategy or a productivity system or even a career path. The greatest investment is understanding oneself, because once you begin to understand the process of your own mind, you start to see something extraordinary. You begin to see that many of the beliefs you carry were never consciously chosen. They were inherited from family, from culture, from society, from moments in your past that quietly shaped how you see the world. And once you see that, something else becomes possible. Alignment and self-authorship, the ability to consciously author the direction of your life rather than unconsciously following someone else's script. Self-authorship doesn't mean rejecting the world. It means understanding yourself deeply enough that your life begins to reflect who you really are, not who you were told to be. And this is where many people discover something surprising. When alignment appears, the mind begins to produce things that cannot be forced, like clarity, insight, creativity, trust, peace. Not because someone gave them to you, but because they emerge naturally when the mind stops fighting itself. And that brings us back to the paradox that we started with. No one can tell you how to live your life, but understanding the process by which your mind creates your experience of life allows you to discover that for yourself, not through imitation, not through pressure, but through awareness. When people understand this, they begin to realize something very powerful. The future is not something that simply happens to us. The future emerges from the patterns of thought, belief, and perception operating in the present. Change the structure of the mind, and the direction of life changes with it. The purpose of understanding your mind is to become the author of your life, which is why everything I teach ultimately comes down to one simple idea: understand your mind. Because when you understand your mind, you begin to see clearly. And when you see clearly, you begin to choose differently. And when you choose differently, you begin to create a different future. The principle, in a nutshell, behind this is simply this: understand your mind, create your future. Everything changes when you understand how your mind works, and understanding the mind is the foundation of self-authorship. If your life isn't working the way you want, the reason is almost always misalignment. When the mind becomes aligned, life begins to move differently. And if any of this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel, explore the resources, visit the website. You'll be glad you did, and I look forward to seeing you there.